There are nights the military never talks about, nights that leave no paperwork, no witness statements, no formal record, nights that live only in the bones of those who survived them. This story is about one of those nights, and about one woman who refused to look away when she saw something wrong. Her name was Corporal Dana Hale, U.S. Army Military Police, 26 years old, quiet, disciplined, a reputation for never raising her voice and never backing down. A woman who carried her pain like it was classified. A woman who, on one cold, wind-cutting night, stepped into hell for someone else, and paid for it in blood. And the next morning, when she thought the worst was over, she opened her door to find Marines waiting for her, but not for the reason she feared. Fort Wilder was one of those installations nobody talked about unless they were stationed there. A quiet army base tucked near the rim of the Nevada desert, flat, cold at night, shimmering with heat during the day. For outsiders, it looked empty. For insiders, it looked like secrets stacked on secrets. Corporal Dana Hale walked her usual night patrol along the outer maintenance yards. Most nights were boring, just the hum of generators, the swirl of dust storms rolling off the desert, and the glow of sodium lights stretching across the pavement. She liked nights like this. The loneliness calmed her. She'd joined the military 5 years earlier partly for the structure, partly for the paycheck, but mostly because it gave her something she'd never had: clarity. Rules were rules. Orders were orders. You knew where you stood. But even in the military, the truth had shadows. The night it all began, she checked the time on her watch. 23:04. Her partner for the shift, Specialist Trent Barlow, had taken the truck to check a reported noise near the mechanical shop. He wasn't back yet. Dana kept walking, scanning the alleys between storage units. The cold bit through her gloves. Somewhere in the distance, a metal gate slammed shut from the wind. Normal, nothing alarming, until she turned a corner and heard muffled shouting. Not loud, but urgent. The kind of sound that made the back of her neck tighten instantly. The shouting came from deeper inside the maintenance complex, where broken-down vehicles were cannibalized for parts. It wasn't a place people hung out at night. Dana unclipped her flashlight, unholstered her sidearm. She kept her steps quiet, controlled. As she approached the storage bay, she caught a faint reflection of something on the ground. Boots, not military issue. Then she heard a voice, strained. "Please, stop. I can't." It was Barlow. Dana swept the corner, and what she saw nearly didn't register. Two men, civilians from the contracted mechanic crew, hovered over Specialist Barlow, who lay bleeding on the ground, his uniform torn, his face bruised. One of the men held a knife. The other was rifling through Barlow's pockets, ripping off his base access badge. Dana didn't hesitate. "MP, drop the weapon!" Her voice cracked across the night. The man with the knife didn't drop it. He lunged. Dana fired once. Controlled, center mass. But the man was fast. He dodged behind a stack of parts. The second man dropped Barlow and ran. Dana stepped forward, and that's when pain exploded across her ribs. The knife. She hadn't seen the third man behind her. The blade slid in once, twice. Again. She gasped as the air punched out of her lungs. She tried to pivot, tried to get control. But the hits came fast, shallow but brutal. A flurry of slashes across her side, her stomach, her arm. She fired again, missed. Blood soaked her uniform. The man grabbed her vest, yanked her sideways, and slammed her into a concrete wall. Her vision blurred. But Dana Hale was not the kind of person who died easy, even half collapsed. She still had her weapon in hand. The man lunged again. This time she didn't miss. He dropped. Dana fell to her knees, panting, blood streaming between her fingers. Barlow groaned somewhere behind her. She keyed her radio with shaking hands. "MP, officer down. 2 suspects fleeing. 1 neutralized. Barlow's hit. Send medical. Now." Then the world tilted. Her body slumped. But she refused to pass out. Not yet. Not until she saw the blue emergency strobes approaching. Dana woke up in the base medical ward with her abdomen stitched like a road map and her arms strapped to prevent tearing. 7 stab wounds. 7. The doctor told her she was lucky. She didn't feel lucky. Barlow had a fractured jaw, a concussion, and a broken rib, but he was alive. The attackers? 1 dead. 2 gone. One of them had Barlow's access badge. That was the part that worried command the most. Base security was instantly elevated. A quiet sense of panic spread through leadership. Because if a stolen access badge made it into the wrong hands, especially in a facility with classified logistics, the consequences could be catastrophic. Dana expected investigators, MPs, commanders. What she didn't expect was silence. No debrief, no questioning, no apology. Just a tight-lipped atmosphere around her hospital bed, as if what happened was best forgotten. Something was off. Badly off. And Dana, still sore, still bruised, knew it. By midnight, she was released back to her barracks under light duty, which was the military's polite way of saying, "We don't want you talking." She went to sleep around 0300, exhausted, numb from painkillers, but she woke up to 3 heavy knocks on her door. Not MPs, not command, Marines, full dress, rigid posture, faces stone serious. Dana blinked in confusion. What's going on? Did something happen?" The Marine captain stepped forward. "Corporal Hale, ma'am, we need you to come with us." "Why?" His jaw clenched. "We were told you're the reason one of our men is still alive." The Marines led her to a transport vehicle. Inside was a man in his late 30s wearing a Marine Raider patch, Special Operations. His name tag read, Valdez. He studied her bandaged side, her pale face. "You're hurt." "I'm fine," Dana lied. Valdez gave a nod of respect. "You saved a Marine last night." Dana frowned. "Barlow? He's Army." "We're not talking about Barlow," Valdez said quietly. "We're talking about the one they didn't tell you about." She froze. "What do you mean?" "Didn't tell me?" The Marine leaned forward. There was a second victim. Dana felt her heartbeat thump painfully. A second victim? In the chaos? In the darkness? She hadn't seen anyone else. Valdez continued. "One of our intelligence NCOs, Sergeant Marcus Lane, went missing on base last night. Security logs show he entered the maintenance yard minutes before your incident." Dana's blood ran cold. She whispered, "Oh God!" Lane had been the target, not Barlow. Not theft, not random violence. This was an abduction attempt, and Dana had walked into it. Valdez looked at her with unsettling seriousness. "You disrupted something big. You forced their timeline to collapse. You kept Lane from being taken off site." Dana swallowed, throat tight. Is he alive?" Valdez hesitated. "We don't know." The vehicle pulled up to a secure building near the intelligence wing. Valdez motioned for her to follow. "Command didn't want to bring you in," he said. "They want this quiet, contained, no investigations, no attention." Dana stared at him, stunned. "Why?" "Because someone high up knew contractors were dirty," Valdez said. "Someone signed off on them having base access. Someone who doesn't want this traced back. The accusation was heavy, dangerous, real." Dana felt a deep, cold anger settle in her ribs, hotter than pain, sharper than fear. "And you brought me here." "Why?" Valdez stopped walking and faced her. "Because the Marines don't leave their people behind, and we don't leave the people who protect them behind either." Inside the secure room, the lighting was dim. Screens displayed satellite views, access logs, and photographs of the contractors Dana had encountered. A Marine colonel stepped in, a tall, weathered man with a calm voice. "Corporal Hale, sit." She did. The colonel folded his arms. "We believe the men who attacked you were part of a smuggling ring using Fort Wilder as a pipeline. Sergeant Lane discovered the scheme during an audit. We think they tried to grab him to force him to unlock certain intel files." He pointed to a map. Dana felt her stomach drop. "No one told me any of this." "That's because Army Command buried it," the colonel said sharply. "They're afraid of scandal, funding cuts, political fallout." Dana looked down, "But I didn't even know Lane was there." "I didn't know anything." "That's exactly why we trust you," the colonel said. "You were the only one who acted without being compromised," Valdez added softly. "You got stabbed 7 times protecting a soldier you didn't know, and in doing so you forced the kidnappers to flee empty-handed. Lane's last known location was less than 20 yards from where you were attacked." The colonel pulled up footage, grainy night vision images, a figure being dragged, another running, then Dana's flashlight beam, her voice shouting, her gun firing, chaos, then the abductors fleeing. Dana watched it, numb. The colonel spoke quietly. "You saved Lane's life. Even if he's still out there, even if we haven't found him yet, You stopped them from taking him off base. Dana's eyes stung. She hadn't known. She hadn't realized. But then her expression hardened. What do you need from me? Valdez exhaled, relieved. We need you to testify, to tell the truth, not the version your command wrote for their incident report. Dana blinked. They altered it? The colonel slid a file forward. Inside, the report read, Corporal Hale sustained minor injuries during a struggle with intoxicated civilians attempting theft of equipment. No mention of Barlow's badge. No mention of multiple attackers. No mention of Lane. No mention of knives. Dana looked up, jaw clenched in disbelief. This is a lie, a dangerous one, Valdez said. If we report up the chain with your real account, the cover-up collapses. Pain surged through Dana's stitches as she sat back, overwhelmed. This wasn't just bureaucratic negligence. This was corruption, and she had bled on the floor because of it. She whispered, If I do this, if I go against them, they'll kill my career. The colonel held her gaze. Maybe, but you'll save lives. Her heartbeat thudded in her ears. Dana Hale had never been afraid of pain, but betrayal? That cut deeper than any knife. They gave Dana 24 hours to decide. She returned to her barracks, mind heavy. Every movement ached, her stitches pulled with each breath, but none of it hurt as badly as knowing that the people above her, the people who trained her, lectured her, taught her loyalty and discipline, had lied, had erased the truth, had tried to make her sacrifice meaningless. She looked at her bloody, torn vest folded on the chair. She had almost died in it. 7 stab wounds. Her scars would never fully disappear. But she remembered Barlow's face, bruised, terrified, when she dragged herself toward him. She remembered the weight of the attacker as he fell. She remembered the cold desert wind on her skin, promising to swallow her whole, and she remembered something her father had once told her. Integrity isn't a word. It's a choice you have to make every time it hurts. At Aero 200, she walked to the Marine Intelligence Wing. Valdez met her outside. You sure? Dana nodded. I won't let them bury this. The next morning, the Marines arranged an official joint interrogation with Army CID, Marine Counterintel, and 2 OSI investigators. The room was tense. Colonels, majors, lawyers. Dana sat alone at the center table, bandages showing beneath her fatigues. One major, Army side, glared at her. Corporal Hale, we're concerned that your injuries may have impaired your recollection. A soft accusation. She stared him dead in the eyes. No, sir. My recollection is clear. Another officer leaned forward. Why didn't you mention a 3rd attacker in your initial statement? Because, sir, Dana said evenly, I wasn't conscious enough to finish my statement before my command dismissed me. And why, the major pushed, would contractors target Specialist Barlow? He has no access to anything sensitive. Dana exhaled, slow and controlled. They weren't after him, sir. The major narrowed his eyes. Explain. Dana looked at the Marine colonel. He nodded. So Dana told them everything. The voices, the fight, the knife, the stolen badge, and the one thing her command tried to erase. There was a second victim that night, she said. A Marine sergeant. I didn't know he was there, but someone dragged him toward the motor pool. The attackers weren't stealing random equipment. They were trying to take him. The room went silent. The Army major turned red. That information was not in your report. Because someone removed it, sir, Dana said calmly. A Marine intelligence officer spoke next. We've verified the badge breach. The logs confirm Hale's version. The Army major stiffened. This will have significant consequences. Dana lifted her chin. So will burying the truth. The Marine colonel stepped forward. With this testimony, we are launching a full military investigation, effective immediately. The Army side protested, threatened, raised their voices, but the decision was final. The truth was out. Because of her. Over the next 48 hours, the base transformed. Security checkpoints doubled. Vehicles were searched. Contractor access was revoked. The 2 missing suspects were caught trying to flee state lines. They confessed under interrogation and led investigators to an abandoned rental property near the outskirts of Las Vegas. Inside, they found Sergeant Lane, alive, beaten, dehydrated, but alive. When Dana heard he'd been rescued, she broke down for the first time since the attack. Silent tears, shoulders shaking. She had saved him. Indirectly, accidentally, but completely. The Marines requested to see her. Lane himself, bruised but walking, entered the medical ward where she was resting. Dana stiffened, unsure what to say. But Lane stepped forward and placed a small Marine Corps challenge coin in her palm. "For valor," he said quietly. "For doing what no one else would have done." His voice cracked. "You saved my life, and you didn't even know my name." Dana's throat tightened. "I was just doing my job." "No," he said. "You were doing what was right." Valdez and the Marine colonel stood behind him. The colonel spoke. "We're recommending you for commendation, and, unofficially, the Marine Corps owes you a debt." Dana looked at them, at their sincerity, their gratitude, their fearlessness in confronting the truth, and she realized something. The Marines had shown her more loyalty in 2 days than her own leadership had in 5 years. The Army didn't celebrate her, didn't thank her. In fact, they punished her. Not officially, but subtly. Paperwork lost, promotion delayed, extra inspections, passive-aggressive comments, cold shoulders, because Dana Hale had broken the first unwritten rule of bad leadership. Don't expose what we try to hide. But Dana didn't bend, didn't waver. She stood tall. Because now, she wasn't standing alone. The Marines checked on her weekly. Lane called her sister. Valdez met her for coffee on her days off, and slowly, a new rumor spread across base. Corporal Hale isn't the one you want to mess with. She's the one who bled to protect people she didn't even know. By the time the investigation wrapped, 10 individuals, contractors, and 1 Army officer were arrested and charged, Dana testified. Calm, precise, fearless. And afterward, the Marine colonel shook her hand and said, "You changed this base. Don't forget that." 3 months later, Dana prepared to transfer units. She wasn't running, she was rising. She had been recommended for a joint service billet, something rare for an MP without a special forces background. On her final night at Fort Wilder, she packed her room, looking one last time at the scarred vest lying atop her duffel. A reminder of a night she should have died, a night she lived with purpose instead. Then, a knock. She opened it. A formation of Marines stood outside her door. Not a large group, just 6, Lane, Valdez, 4 raiders in formal uniform. Lane stepped forward. "We didn't come to say goodbye," he said. "We came to say thank you." He handed her a small framed photo of the Marine Recon Creed. "At the bottom," Lane added softly, "we wrote something for you." Dana flipped it over, in neat handwriting. For Corporal Dana Hale, who defended a Marine with nothing but her courage. Semper Fi. Dana's eyes stung. Lane saluted her, and for the first time in her life, she saluted back with pride so fierce it burned, because she knew, deep in her bones, that courage isn't about rank, medals, or stories told afterward. It's about the moment when the world goes silent, when fear claws at your ribs and you stand anyway. True courage isn't shown in battle. True courage is standing up for what's right, even when you stand alone, even when the cost is high, even when silence would be easier. Because integrity is the one battlefield where you must never retreat.